COVID-19. In other words, you are struggling to do something that you're not used to doing. Now, some of you parents are used to homeschooling, but you should listen in anyway, because you never know. I might have a bit of advice here or there. Okay, now let's get on with it. I've been introducing myself as Dr. Lynette Louise, also known as the Brain Broad. And my grandson pointed out that lately I've been talking about behavioral interventions and different attitudinal shifts that you might want to make. And I haven't been talking so much about how that impacts brain development or what you can do to improve brain development. And so the whole Brain Broad thing was getting lost in the mix of the COVID-19 homeschooling, talk to all the parents of autism advice. So I'm going to today add a little bit of brain information for you. Before we get there, though, I want to talk to you a little bit about doing it different than you're used to. Now, that was the theme of last Facebook Live last Wednesday. This time I want you to think in terms of doing it all by yourself. So many people are used to having a team behind them. The teachers, the therapists, the administrators, all the different people that come together to try to help you with your child who has autism. And now, all of a sudden, here you are, all alone in the house, trying to raise your child with autism and educate them at the same time. That is so awesome. You are so lucky to have this opportunity. You are not lucky that there's a virus going around and people are getting sick. That is not a lucky thing. But what is lucky is to have a moment to sort of reestablish your connection with your child and recognize that doing it by yourself, either with your spouse or significant other or completely alone, has a lot of advantages. A lot. So let me begin there. Sort of a pep talk, sort of a group pep talk, right? A lot of the time, brain information. One of the things that absolutely always will cause stress is a feeling that you have no control. So, if you embrace this period of time as if it's out of your control, there's nothing you can do about it, you will be incredibly stressed. And so will your child. And when your child is stressed, their frontal lobes can't function. Now, you can't see the front of the brain. I'll have to use my own head. So their frontal lobes can't function, this part here. And that's the part that tells you who you are, what you do, problem solves, makes decisions. If you don't have that, you end up in this sort of reactive brain. And the last thing you need when you're all stuck in the same house is a reactive brain. You don't want that for your child and you don't want it for you. So let's look at this stressor. If you truly believe that this is all out of your control, you will completely shut down. You will fall apart, and so will your child. But if you take it on as if, wow, because no one else is involved, because I don't have to train therapists, have meetings, talk to administrators, problem solve the things going on at the school, deal with the other kids that maybe my kid spit at. Because I don't have all of that, I finally have control. All that stress will come off. Those frontal lobes will start working, and you'll be able to problem solve this so beautifully. That's why I always work with mind shift, with perspective, with concepts and ideas. Because if you have the right perspective, the right mind shift, this is going to be easier, not harder. You'll be able to say, phew, it's up to me to decide what's important. It's up to me to decide if today is the weekend or not. If I need time off right now, I can take it. And so can my child. And that measure of control can be life-saving. In fact, when I chose to homeschool my children, I really truly believe that the reason it got better, the reason it worked out, was that measure of control. Me being able to be the one making the decisions. Now, all of you parents that are a two-parent family, or if you have some other significant spouse, actually in my case, my daughter was always living with me, and she was a grown adult and had her own children and was my great helper. But often we had very different takes on things. Now, the beauty of her being my daughter was I got to be the boss. So it was still my final say that mattered. However, if it's a spouse, there might be arguing. Oh, wait. I love that instead of feeling like I don't have control. Oh, good. Yes, you have to embrace control. This is a time of control. So, but if you have a spouse, and hello to Sarah, again, my wonderful daughter. If you have a spouse, it may not feel like control, right? It may feel like arguing. It may feel like he thinks one thing's important, you think the other thing is important, or she thinks one thing's important and you think the other things are he and he, or she and she, or they and they, whatever you are, okay? So think of it like a sports team. When you're a soccer team or a baseball team, let's say a baseball team, and somebody hits the ball and it comes flying out to the field, the guy who's going to catch it says, "Mine!" And he claims it. He says, "I'm going to be the decider right now." If you run your house like that, even though you and your spouse may have different ideas, you back each other when the other person has said, "Mine, I'll take this one." And talk a lot. Really communicate. Pare it down. Homeschooling is an opportunity to not worry about academics, but to embrace academics in a different way. So, for example, a lot of the kids who are typers do much better answering questions academically than they do, how do you feel? What are you thinking? That kind of real, actually, most of us do better that way. Maybe that's why we do academics, right? It takes a lot of sort of special self-knowledge to understand how to understand yourself and how to communicate that. In fact, I do a lot of counseling on that. So very often academics are actually easier, not harder. So I'm not saying throw that out, but what I am saying is you don't have to do it right now. So if you suck at math and your child sucks at math, and if getting them to do math is like pulling teeth, then don't do math right now. It's homeschooling time. Do something else. Do social skills, role play, have some fun, teach friendship. If that's like pulling teeth, then if they're hyperlexic, they're going to want to write things or do numbers. Do that. You get to feed to the strength. And then as a parent, ask yourself, what's really missing here? What can I do to really help my child be in a better place when they move into the world? And be honest, because it's not usually academics. You can teach math with money. You can teach all your math with money. Money is math, and that's really what they need to learn anyway, is how to do money. Self-help skills are generally really lacking in children with autism, or overdone if they're a little OCD. So this is a great time, a great opportunity for you to say, wow, we've been letting school take so much of our time, we haven't got that brushing of the teeth done right, or the hand washing done right, or the wiping done right, whatever it is. The dressing hasn't been getting done right. Whatever it is, you can decide, let's do that. Let's role play the heck out of that. Let's have fun with that. Let's make that so much better that when they do go back to school, if they go back to school, you'll be happier for the time at home. All right? Word of caution. When you over-focus on one thing, you usually put so much pressure, you make it worse. So when I say focus on it and make this the thing you're really prioritizing, I don't mean go, okay, let me watch you, let me watch you, let me watch you, right? Because then you just create dependence. But you can do all kinds of things. One of my favorite techniques is to videotape. So if you videotape the child in the bathroom, it's just your house. Nobody else is looking at it. Videotape the child in the bathroom. They love to see themselves, even if you don't think they do. Sometimes the kids will like look and run away, right? Or look and run away, or they'll say, no, 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 turn it off. But if you put it in a piece of their own mobile phone or their iPad or whatever, they tend to go back and look at it and look at it and look at it. So if you videotape the problems they're having, you'll probably be able to teach to it and help them without becoming this prompting weight on the child. So that's a really good tip. I use videotaping for all kinds of stuff, for all kinds of skill acquisition, and audio tape as well. Some kids are really working on their speech, and this is a great time for you to help with articulation. So play with if you have a phone that records audio, go ahead. Say something into it, then pass it to them and have them say it, and then you pass it back and forth, and you make tongue twisters. Tongue twisters are a lot of fun. They're fun when they're done fun. They're not fun when they're done like a class. So be a family. Take control. Drop the stress. Get your frontal lobes working. And embrace homeschooling. As every study ever read, homeschooling is superior to school schooling as far as success and grades go. So you aren't losing, you're gaining. All right? One thing, though, do try to keep your child very safe. I know it's very hard to take children out that have autism. Right now, they tend to touch things and put their hands to their mouth a lot. Really, as much as you can make it fun at home, you will make it a lot less stressful and a lot less dangerous. So try to keep that in mind. I don't have any questions, so hopefully this gets watched as much as the last one did, and I figure out how to get people on here asking questions. My name is Dr. Lynette Louise. I'm also known as the Brain Broad, and we've been talking frontal lobes and homeschooling.